A narcissist abuses your soul. Studies on emotional abuse show that prolonged exposure to manipulation can deeply affect a person's identity, self perception, and nervous system regulation. Not because the victim is weak, but because psychological abuse is slowly disconnects people from their own inner reality. Hi, I'm Kamala Harris, systemic therapist and founder of the Verbal Moms community. Every day I help women escape their emotional prisons by teaching them how to balance motherhood, feminine power, and relationships. If that sounds like something you need, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss more of this content on emotional intelligence. And one of the most dangerous things about narcissistic relationships is that the abuse rarely starts with cruelty. It actually starts with intensity, with connection, attention, and admiration. At first, it feels like it's unreal, like someone finally sees you deeply. They study you carefully, they mirror your dreams, your values, your wounds. And because the emotional connection feels so strong, you trust them quickly. But what many women don't understand is that narcissistic dynamics are often built through emotional dependency first. The idealization is not random, it creates attachment. And once the attachment is established, the dynamic slowly changes. The warmth becomes inconsistency, the affection becomes confusion, the emotional safety disappears. And this is where the real abuse begins. And attention is not always physically, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally. Because narcissistic abuse attacks something much deeper than your emotions. It attacks your relationship with yourself. You stop trusting your instincts, you start replaying conversations in your head, you start monitoring your tone, your reaction, your needs, and slowly your identity begins to shrink around this relationship. And this is why many women say things like, I don't recognize myself anymore. I used to be so confident. I was so emotionally exhausted. And that's not weakness. That's what happens when someone slowly conditions you to disconnect from your own perception. And one of the most painful parts is the person who hurts you is also the person that you keep searching comfort from. And this creates a trauma bond where moments of affection mixes with moments of emotional withdrawal. So your nervous system becomes trapped between hope and pain. And eventually you begin blaming yourself for everyone created inside this relationship. You think maybe I am too sensitive, difficult, or I am asking for too much, but health love does not make you abandon yourself in order to keep connection. Health love does not require confusion to survive. And here's the uncomfortable truth that a lot of people avoid. Yes, narcissistic patterns often come from deep emotional wounds, attachment traumas, or unresolved childhood dynamics. But understanding someone's pain does not mean that you need to tolerate their abuse. The compassion without boundaries become your self-destruction. And many women stay trapped because they become obsessed in understanding him instead of protecting themselves. They analyze his childhood, his trauma, his behavior, his inconsistency. Meanwhile, their own nervous system is simply collapsing. And some point healing requires a different question. Not why is he like that, but why do I stay after the mask fell? The question is not about blaming, it's about awareness. Because narcissistic relationships often reveal unresolved wounds inside both people. One person manipulates the connection, but the other person fears losing it. And the healing begins the moment you stop trying to rescue the narcissist and begins to understand the part of you that accepts emotional starvation as love. Because the most powerful thing you can do is not become better at surviving narcissists. It's becoming someone who no longer feels emotionally at home inside this dysfunction. And that's where the freedom begins. And if you're already following me, congratulations, you're growing your emotional intelligence every single day. And if you're not, well, you know what to do. Follow now and make emotional maturity a lifestyle. Comment below, emotional intelligence is my rebellion, and send this to a woman who feels like she's losing herself inside a relationship.